AFC. Talk about Johnny Manziel. Want to do that?
We can do that.
Speaking of laying an egg.
Speaking of, Johnny football with his first career start, and he did as some expected a rookie would do. The stats were not pretty. Manziel became the first quarterback to get shut out in the first career start since Rusty Smith in 2010. Manziel was just 10 of 18 for 80 yards and 2 picks, while gaining only 13 yards on 5 carries. Manziel owns the loss. Let's listen.
It's tough to come out there and lay an egg like that, and I put a lot of that on me. I don't sit here saying I'm not using the rookie excuse. I needed to play better. I felt coming into today that I was absolutely prepared for today. But for me, it's a first start, and you move on from here, and we're trying to build something moving forward to carry us into next year.
Didn't play well. I mean, looked like a rookie, played like a rookie. And again, I know a lot of it was we didn't play well around him, but he made some obvious mistakes that typically a veteran quarterback won't make. And you can only simulate that so much in practice or in a preseason. Got to get out there and play, and that's the bad thing is the result. The worst thing would be not to learn from it. That we have to come out and push through it, and hopefully he'll be better next week.
So Manziel becomes the 6th quarterback to get shut out in his first career start within the last 20 years. We talked about this on the show on Friday, Stephen A., about Manziel's performance and what you expected. Surprised by his performance on Sunday?
Yes, I was. It was horrific. It was bad. He stunk up the joint, no question. But having said all of that, I'm still not putting all the blame on him. He was bad. There's no question about it. Those 2 interceptions were awful. I stand by what I said prior to the start, Skip, that I thought he should have been in there, and I have no regrets about that. I'm not going to jump ship on this kid because I still think he has promise, even though he gave an abundance of credence to those who were critics of him, who said that he didn't belong being a first-round pick and all of this other stuff. I tweeted last night, Merrill Hodge looks like a prophet. You understand?
And yesterday, he's got 6th-round talent.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Yep. But he didn't look like a first-rounder. That's fair to say. But how many people would when you got an offensive line that simply does not show up? When you have a defense that didn't show up. Cincinnati came out first. 4 plays they called were running plays. Jeremy Hill ended up rushing for 148 yards on the day, almost 100 yards in the first half. Cleveland had 107 for the game. Yep. Okay? When you look at the fact that Cincinnati was able to run the ball down their throats, move the ball seemingly unimpeded in any way by Cleveland's defense, the question was, where was Johnny Manziel's help? It didn't show up on the defensive side of the ball. This is supposed to be a respectable defense. They did not show up. They got punked yesterday by the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. Offensively, the Josh Gordons of the world and others didn't seem to be able to get open, but I'm not going to put it all on them. Johnny Manziel didn't have much pocket presence. Obviously, he was himself in terms of taking chances. But the NFL game, this is a man's game. They're a lot faster than in college football. They give you a look, give you deception, and all of a sudden, here they come when you least expect it. That's what happened to him on both interceptions. That second interception is egregious as well because he completely forced it. We understand that. What I would say, Skip, that really, really alarmed me, and nobody said it better than Chris Carter did this morning on Mike and Mike, when Chris pointed out he looked small. When I was in Philadelphia last week watching Seattle against the Eagles, and I went to that locker room afterwards, I don't know if anybody has taken a moment to take a look at Russell Wilson's legs. I mean, they're tree trunks. You understand what I'm saying? This is, I mean, he's just basically not tall, but he's a thick dude. Johnny Manziel, and he's never looked small while he's been in the NFL. Johnny Manziel looked small yesterday. The more hits that he was taking, and boy, were they putting some licks on him. They hit him at every opportunity just to welcome him to the NFL. He looked small, like he was shrinking, for crying out loud, because they were just putting heat on him. That's all I'm trying to say. He just looked small as the game waned, and I was alarmed by that. But in the end, as poor as he was, as awful as he was, I don't believe that in any way we can judge Johnny Manziel based on this performance, because he received no help whatsoever. To know that a rookie is coming into that game, you have got to position yourself to help him.
Yep.
You've got to elevate your game. And no one, I repeat, no one on Cleveland, not their running backs, not their receivers, not their offensive line, nobody helped him.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Okay.
And that's why I'm sitting there looking at it and saying, well, it was a bad performance, but I'm not going to judge him but so harshly.
Okay, those are all very valid points. Before I leave your Russell Wilson point, remember, Russell Wilson measured 1 1/8 inches shorter than Johnny.
Okay.
And I don't know how much Russell Wilson weighs because I didn't look it up before the show. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. But Johnny has told me, he'll go 205 to 210 during the season. You know, it fluctuates a little bit, but he's a stout little man.
I know. I'm just telling you that when I looked at Russell Wilson, it looks like his legs alone weigh 210 pounds.
I
mean,
Russell Wilson's listed at 206.
Okay.
So I promise you, he might be a little thicker than Johnny, but not much.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
Didn't look that way yesterday, but I got you.
Now, back to the question. Johnny says he didn't want or deserve the rookie excuse. I think he deserves a little rookie excuse here.
Right.
Because I told you for the last 2 weeks, it was really tough to throw him into this late season playoff drive, extremely difficult spot against a division rival that your team, without you, had humiliated on a Thursday night on the national stage about 5-6 weeks ago. They came in spoiling for revenge against a young quarterback who just turned 22 years of age, who's easily hateable. He might be the most hateable player, and he brings a lot of that on himself, but he's got the most easy to mock sign in all of football.
Yesterday.
They did again and again and again. And obviously the Bengals were leading the division. They needed the game badly to hold off Pittsburgh and Baltimore, not to mention to bury the Cleveland Browns. So this league, as I try to tell you, it devours its young quarterbacks. It's hard in these spots, man. And he looked like an awful rookie quarterback. You're right. This was horrendous. It was painful to watch. Everything was wrong with Johnny Manziel yesterday. He was way too amped in the first half. I couldn't even recognize him. He bolted the pocket way too quickly. And I'm going to remind you that his last year at Texas A&M, he led the nation in passing percentage from the pocket. From the pocket. He's a deadly pocket passer to me. He can throw darts. But we didn't see it yesterday because he was so indecisive on the first interception he threw. He actually threw 3. One got called back. Yeah. But the first one he threw, he double clutched on the deeper out that he threw. And if you double clutch against Pac-Man, he's going to catch up.
Exactly.
He's going to pick it off.
And Pac-Man said he had no clue what was going on
he
out
said
there.
he was slow.
He had no clue. Yeah.
Well, he also said he had no clue.
Slow on the draw, like slow with the football. And then to me, Stephen A., I saw him make one good throw all day. Could we see the one pass to Josh Gordon where he set up on time and on rhythm, and boom, the ball was gone, and he's got velocity now to Josh Gordon, who catches it on the curl in and then goes the other way and gets, I don't know, 10 or 12 more yards. So that's the Johnny I barely saw yesterday. Now, was Josh Gordon covered a lot, whereas receivers cut? I guess so. The line, as you point out, broke down often. Cincinnati was amped, man, on defense. And then when Jeremy Hill is just basically running you off your own turf and you fall behind and further behind and further behind, and he tries harder and harder to do more desperation heaves, well, bad things are going to happen to Johnny Manziel.
Let's be fair about something here. For people like myself who thought that Johnny Manziel could make some noise, I didn't think Cleveland was going to win the game because of Johnny Manziel. I thought what would happen is that Cleveland's defense, which has been around pretty much all season.
Now remember, Joe Hayden got hurt in the game.
He did, which is a huge loss. Which is a huge loss. But I'm thinking Cleveland's defense is going to show up. It's going to be tight, relatively low scoring.
Yeah.
And as a result, they won't be able to have a blitz party the way that they did.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would happen is that they have to play with a little bit more caution.
Yeah.
And as a result, Johnny Manziel's improvisational skills, combined with the spotlight that tends to assist in Cincinnati shrinking, would come to light, and somehow, some way, Cleveland would end up escaping with this game. That was the thought process. Nobody anticipated that Cleveland's defense would be steamrolled the way that they were steamrolled yesterday. And to me, I understand that Johnny Manziel is the biggest story here because of name recognition and et cetera. But the big part of all of this is Cleveland's defense did not show up.
Yeah.
Before Joe Hayden got hurt, Cincinnati was moving the ball at will.
Yep.
At will. They were doing whatever they wanted to do. And not A.J. Green, of course, because he had Hayden on them. But Cleveland's defense was getting steamrolled. Keep that in mind.
All right.
I agree.
So Johnny Manziel gets to start at least for next week, and they play at Panthers. After the game, a few players said it was all about Johnny. The media made it all about Johnny this week. I think they felt disrespected that it went from a pick'em to them actually being favored.
Cincinnati wants some respect, win a playoff game for the first time in a decade. Do that.
Heck, just win the division.
That's all you need to do.
I'm not sure.
I say win a playoff game.
That's all they need to do.
They've been to the playoffs the last 3 years. Win a playoff game, and then Cincinnati, you can come talk to me.
At the top of the hour, we're talking about Eagles again. Okay? We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers now, though.
You say that, you say that like y'all care about how I feel.
We do care
y'all
about how
don't.
you
Not today. Not today. Y'all don't care about me today because of him.